Major Middle East player Iran and several European countries have launched a diplomatic push to try to end the Saudi war in Yemen. The two sides have been discussing possible ways to end the bloodshed. Sources say the aim of the negotiations between Iran and the Europeans is to find a way towards an effective ceasefire agreement. Reuters has quoted officials from both sides as saying that the discussions are making good progress. But enforcing a ceasefire on the ground in Yemen won't be easy at all. The conflict in Yemen is a complicated one, with many sides involved.
We don't think it's going to be easy for the Saudis to look at this from the point of view Iran is looking to cooperate with the Europeans. The Saudis now are in a position that they are making advancements in the western part of Yemen against the Houthis, and they might think this to be, as an attempt to foil their progress. So it would take more than the Saudis and the Yemeni plateau to convince the Saudis. For example, how does this agreement, should it really be achieved, how would it play in the bigger sense of the Middle East tension between Iran and Saudi Arabia and so on.
Moreover, Saudi Arabia and its allies have in the past years violated multiple ceasefire agreements. The implementation of any ceasefire initiative fully depends on the Saudis and their allies, because they have imposed a crippling blockade on Yemen and control its airspace. The coming weeks will probably show whether the Saudis will listen to the calls to end their aggression. Saudi Arabia and some of its Arab allies have been pounding Yemen since March 2015. They aim to push Ansar Allah fighters out of Sana'a and other key cities and then reinstate former President Abd Rabbu Mansur Hadi. The campaign has been widely branded as a Saudi-led offensive, but the United States has been increasingly leading the course of the war. The U.S. has been providing the Saudis with weapons, intelligence, mid-air fueling, target expertise, and logistical support.
This is not a war, it's a cruel murder. The United States is backing Saudi aggression against Yemen by cooperating in every way with the Saudi military, targeting intelligence, weapons, sales, and more. The U.S. is a partner in Saudi Arabia's Yemen crimes. Does holding hands with Saudi Arabia as it slaughters Yemeni children really reflect American values?
And that's not all. America has provided full diplomatic cover for the Saudis. Some have gone so far as to say that the war is led by the United States, not the Persian Gulf Kingdom. So any new initiative for Yemen drawn up by Iran and the Europeans has to have the U.S. on board.
There are benefits for both ways, or all sides actually. The Iranians, the Europeans, and the Americans. But it remains to be seen whether the Americans would be under pressure from the Saudis, who again might think, we are now heading towards some minor victory in western Yemen, and the Houthis are on the retreat. They might be deprived of this, whether they can mount some pressure on the American administration or not. But in the grand scheme of things, if all parties can see benefit in this, i.e. opening the door for further cooperation within the region, then it is probable that all parties would agree to this.
Analysts believe the U.S. has not shown much appetite for an end to the conflict, and that's probably why the Saudi war machine is still wreaking havoc on its impoverished neighbor. The situation in Yemen currently constitutes the world's worst humanitarian crisis. 8 million Yemenis are on the brink of famine, and the world's worst cholera epidemic is taking a heavy toll there. The situation could even get worse. Saudi-led forces are engaged in an offensive against Yemen's most important seaport. Hodeidah Seaport is the entry point for most of humanitarian aid shipments into Yemen. The lives of millions of Yemenis depend on such humanitarian aid. Yet the United States is refusing to use its leverage with the Saudis to prevent another humanitarian catastrophe. The worsening plight of people across the country highlights the urgency for a ceasefire there.